Hi everyone, it's Niamh here and welcome to my art journaling channel. Today we're going to be playing with some new products from the Dina Wakley Release for 2020 Creativation on a used up page. So this is in the new blue journal, which comes with 3 different substrates. Denim, the burlap you see on the other side, or hessian, it's a different texture. It's a bit lighter than the one that's in the original journal. And then the cotton rag paper, which is the thick cotton rag paper that's found in her smaller 6x6 journal. So it's much thicker to work on and takes spray inks, watercolours, any wet media beautifully. So you can see the background of the page I'm working on. And if you've been following the last few videos that I've done in this series, you'll actually have seen me do this. And anytime I've been using the spray acrylic paints on my stencils, I've sort of been putting them into my journal on a page, and it happened to be this one, just to clean off the excess paint on it. I love doing this in my journals because it gives me a background to already work with. A lot of people are afraid of a white page, so by doing that, it sort of just breaks that up and it gives you freedom to have a go. And if you don't like it, well, that's fine, because it wasn't anything special to begin with. And usually you'll actually find out the pages you love the most, and particularly in this case, I think this is one of the favourite pages I've done so far. So what I'm doing is just using some offcuts from the Dina Wakley Collage Collective, excuse me, which was one of her releases from last year, 2019. When I cut anything out, I keep the scraps and I use them for collage. I just tear them up and shove them into my book somewhere. So I'm just using some gel medium to glue them down my book. No rhyme or reason to it. I am kind of keeping colours similar though. I'm using sort of the pinks and the blues because of the colours I've got in the background. Usually I don't actually worry about that. I just go with the flow and just chuck everything in, because I usually put paint over the top. But I was actually really liking how this is working, and I think I liked it because the colours were kind of similar, so it sort of all worked together as is. So now I'm just drying off the layers, just making sure that everything's sort of sealed before I go on to the next step. Excuse me. So you can see now I'm getting some of the sprays out. So these are the new gloss acrylic sprays, and I've just shaken them up a little bit and then I'm spraying over. Now the little piece of paper that I'm using there to mask is some of the Dina Wakley collage tissue paper. And what I've found is, because obviously these are fairly precious to me at the moment because they're not actually been released for sale, and I know already that I'll be getting the full set of them. Any excess paint I get out of the spray bottle I want to use. So I've been keeping the white collage tissue papers in the back of my journal, and anytime I do some spraying or use some inks, I use that for the excess ink to go on so that I colour the papers. And I've found with the acrylic spray paints that it works really well with those white papers, because you get a beautiful effect in the background. The other thing that I've been doing is, once I've sprayed down with them, I go back in and press the inky leftovers onto my surface somewhere. Now particularly with this page, you'll really notice how glossy the acrylic sprays are. The original paints that Dina released have a more matte finish to them, and these are really, really glossy. So you get a nice contrast, and I just love, particularly these crosses, that beautiful, it sort of frames up the page a little bit with what you're doing. Now, as you can see, my stencils are not clean. I don't tend to clean them at all. I did wipe over those ones. If you are someone who likes to have clean stencils, I would highly suggest that as soon as you finished using them, you do clean them or put them into a bowl of water straight away, because obviously as this spray is acrylic based, it is permanent when it's set or you know, left to dry. It's not like the ink sprays where you can just wipe over afterwards and it'll come off. You do need to clean them straight away. So now all I'm doing is going in with some journaling across the centre. It's all really scribbly journaling. No one can really read it. it's all about how I really loved how this page was turning out. Even though it looks kind of messy, I could see its potential, and I really loved it. So I'm just using a food ball to write across the page. It's a pen that sort of goes over everything, paints, papers, matte medium. It sort of works over the top of everything. If you don't have one of those, a Posca paint pen or something like that would just work the same. As I was working on this, while I loved the background, it does need a focal image. So I went to the Collage Collective, which is one of Dina's releases from 2019, and found this figure of this abstract gentleman that I was going to use as my focal image. And again, I chose it because it is abstract like the background, but it has some of those similar colours in the background. It's got that blue and it's got the reds coming through it. And that's one thing I love about this Collage Collective, is that because obviously Dina's used the same paints that we use, you can match them up really easily and you get the same colours coming through. The only thing I did find was, you saw me spraying the acrylic paints or the acrylic sprays onto the paper. This page in particular is the cardboard in the Collage Collective. So there's a lightweight paper and a thicker paper. You can see it soaked into the surface straight away. I was kind of expecting when I sprayed onto the printed area that it might spread a little bit, but it actually soaked into it. So it wasn't quite the effect I was looking for. But it was interesting and it was a learning opportunity, and that's one thing I love about doing these sorts of things, is because you learn, and you know, if you like the effect, that's great, do it again. If you don't like the effect, well, don't do it again. So I never see it as a mistake. There's always something to learn from it. Final thing I was sort of doing there is just taking my Stabilo oil pencil and going around the outside with those really sketchy lines again. And that's something I love doing, because one, it helps my hand trace those lines, because I want to get more fluid with my drawing. So it's a good way of practicing and getting my hand used to doing that. But the other thing is, it just boosts that little bit of black back on the page again. One thing that I do love doing on all my journal pages is adding some focal text as well. So I obviously had the journaling in the background, but I wanted to add something as a bit of a focus. And this is from the new release stamp set as well, which is Scribbly Men. So there's 3 great pictures of men now and beautiful sayings. So I love this. It's fall 7 times, stand up 8. And it's all about, you know, just keep going, which again is a mantra I have with my art journaling. You know, if you don't like it, just keep going, because you might like it in the end. You might, you know, love what you end up with, or you might hate it and you might want to paint over it again. But it's just that really great mantra of resilience, of just never giving up and just keep going, because you don't know what's going to happen next. So finally, I'm just outlining those crosses in the background, or those medieval crosses in the background, with some white paint and white Posca paint pen, sorry. And I'm going in and doing some journaling. Now, I did find out after I tried to do this, and it was very, very faint, that my paint pen has actually run out. So I did change over at some stage and get a better paint pen. But I could still see that texture in the background from the writing. And in a lot of cases with my journaling on the page, I do it as a bit of a brain dump to get it out of my head. But just having it on the page adds that texture to it. So I'm quite happy, even if I can't really read it in the future, it did what it needed to at the time. So this is a close-up of the page. You can see all those beautiful gloss effects from the spray paints. They're just wonderful. So if you have an opportunity to get your hands on them or have a play with them, I would highly suggest you do that. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new to this channel, I'd love it if you came and joined us along in our adventure here, and hit the like and subscribe button. Until next time, bye for now.